nanoscience and nanotechnology. You just arrived in the end of all this activity. Is the second, yesterday you closed the workshop on the East West. And now you arrive in the end of this NN22. So during the days, this happened first time in this hotel, I suppose that
never use the word "and" again.
The power generation, but I don't understand, this computer is work, but the other not.
This has battery. It's not.
This one has battery, USB given.
It's not. It's battery.
It's on battery. I wonder how it's happening to this one. I don't understand what's going on. Okay. Again, it's coming. Just try to correct this one. Let me see. So let's say a few words about the statistics of NN22. We have around 250 presentations, around 68 of plenary keynotes, invited presentation, 83 oral presentations. Between them, 35 presentations coming from European Commission projects. I hope to enjoy to see these people because our results, they present the results from these 35 projects, and almost 100 poster presentations. This is what for NN22, other 200, almost 200 presentations here for East West, and around 25 from the International Conference on 3D printing and bioprinting. The conference run, as you know, in live and virtual by support of AlphaView, supported by this gentleman from Germany, Mr. Nikos and Konstantinos Fosteropoulos. They supported us not only during this conference this year, I mean 2022, but from the first moment in 2020, when in March of 2020, we took the decision to run live and virtual the conference. So at that time, there was not any possibility to run the conference because actually there were no the proper facilities. They hear us a lot. So just to remind you what I said in the beginning of this conference on Tuesday morning, how it was in 2019. Few people are present, almost 29%, and year by year, okay, this year it's this time, more of the people are in live mode, less in virtual mode, but we hope next year to be even better. And what we believe is that some number of people connected from virtually will be remain the next years. This is a new tool, actually. Some people who used to come for one day presentation, for example, or some people who there is no other possibility to participate, they will make this type of connections. So, but in any case, you have to have in mind that in people here try to support two conferences. One which is the real, as you can see here, and the other is visual. Many people work on this one during the days in order to support this one. And of course, during this breakdown of electricity, you understand how much large mess occur. You succeed ourselves here, but it's sure that in many other places on the planet nowadays they run live and virtual presentations. So just to remind you, the 5 workshops on the field, the NN22, it was the first one on nanoelectronics, the conventional electronics actually. This is based on organics and conductors and all these specific things on communications, photonics and nano energy. The workshops number 2, which were related to nano biomaterial, bio aspects and polymers are introduced, maybe also introduced and discuss some aspects not only on organic, inorganic semiconductor, but also organic. And then it was the workshop number 3, which it was the last one closely all this conference, the NN22. The subjects we discussed in the last session, but also in the morning session we have this conference. We discuss the meet of nanotechnology with modern biology and also 3D printing, as was the last presentation. The workshop 4, which was a new one, started less than 10 years ago, talking about biosensors and bioelectronics, is a workshop also running in parallel with NN, with nanomedicine and with ISWE, the other conference. And the conference, the last one, which was on 2-dimensional materials, conductive materials or other metallic materials like graphene synthesis and their application. So just to remind you, and in parallel to say that many thanks to all these people participated and help and support this conference. The 3 distinguished professors, just to mention, special thanks to Jenny Nelson from Miller College. She was on site here. We enjoy the talks from these distinguished professors and people from industry with the keynote talks, and of course all these people coming from academia, research institution and industry, who give us the opportunity to hear from them their last results and the progress in their field. And just to give you some pictures taken during the days. Also, I see also Nicholas there. He gave the opportunity our presentation, some of them to be in live and live streaming to see many people and some of you which were not present. So this is some pictures during the lectures or during the event. Many thanks to our people, the local people and our major who presented and he's give the welcome and support every year. Several pictures taken during the Expo of 2022. Many thanks to people from exhibitors and research institutes that present their results, but companies. And of course, some pictures just to remind you, on Tuesday night took place this official gala dinner, dancing, okay, you can see here holistic effect, people without any order, they decide to, I don't remember which song is this one, but it's a very good picture. And from the picture this one, people dancing spectacular, like something this. Okay. I would also like to thank all the committee, the rest organizing committee of this conference, Professor Adriano and from Bordeaux University and Professor Yannelis from Cornell. Professor Komopoulos was here, he arrived, but he has, as I told you, giving a wedding last Sunday. Professor Silva, he was present, left yesterday. Professor Tanaka, and of course Christophoros here. Okay, he's here. Okay, you see, many thanks to Christophoros. He's the head of this conference. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, many thanks to our people, from the sponsors and especially the exhibitors. He gave us the opportunity to see tools, results, to discuss with them during the days and during the breaks. And now coming to the end, just to remind you that we have these publications. Also, this a bit after what to go published in Materials Today proceedings. Then the extended day is 30th of August. And please mark your calendar for 2023. NN will be taking place on 7th to 4th to 7th July 2023, Tuesday to Friday again. The whole event will start 1st of July with the schools. And coming now to awards, the last part of this conference, just to remind that the committee with Chairman Professor Ioannis Fusilis, you are the professor. You coordinate a team of 246 persons in order to decide where we go from this 200, almost 200, let's say, the oral presentations, the poster presentations, the award for the awards. So, and the awards goes to the committee is here. You are here.
I don't know anything.
Professor Christo is not here. I saw him a couple of hours ago. But you have the coordinator here, okay? Okay. You're ready to announce. Do you have the awards? Christopher. Okay. Also is inside, okay? Also is inside. Don't worry. We have the results. And now the first one.
So,
Oh, sorry. What's that? How it's happening? This is from yesterday.
let the virtual, this is real. I have the two real ones.
So you see the electricity, the problem electricity creates a problem. Yes. Maximilian,
So, in recognition of best oral presentation, goes to Maximilian Heiko Burg.
yeah. He's online, sorry, he's online. He's online.
Any friend of his to take?
You will keep this one,
Okay.
Professor Mr.
Yes.
Lisa, and later in the photo you will see. I hope the next one is
So
going to
the best poster presentation in this course is Rabat Omar. Hello.
It's biosensor, okay? It's for nanomedicine and biosensor, okay? Okay. So let's come in and go in because from nanomedicine,
Yes.
getting strong together. Just a moment.
Just
So what's the other one? Do you keep the other one, okay?
it's here. They got more pictures.
Okay.
They should have the film.
Now,
The old times, nobody was using.
Take this one in front of you. Come here. Okay, please. All together. Okay, cool.
Yeah. It's okay.
Congratulations. It's from nanomedicine. Okay, congratulations. Congratulations. Yeah. So, thank you very much. By this, you arrive in the end of all this ceremony. Many thanks to people from the team, the Nanotexnology lab, especially to these ladies here, of course, you can see in the reception, Ms. Zimaraki and Dora, which is Dora here, Thessaloniki, and many other people who support us. You know that we never can give this event to external company. We try to do a lot of the work. Many thanks to people from COPEA and our students from master degrees, and of course many thanks to hotel people, Porto Palas people who help a lot with their hospitality and their support during the days. So by this, I will thank you, and I hope to enjoy the meetings here in the city as well. Have a good and nice, safe way back to home. And I hope to see you soon somewhere on person or next year. Thank you very much.
yourself?
Well, my name is Gus Koussoulis. I'm a professor of virology and biotechnology and head of the Department of Pathological Sciences at Louisiana State University, veterinary medicine, as well as the Stanley Scott Cancer Center Medical School in New Orleans.
So what did you talk about here at this conference?
So I was very pleased in this conference for the Nanotechnology 2022, part of the nanomedicine sessions, to present some of our work on the use of viruses for cancer treatment. The talk focused specifically on how we use herpes simplex virus as a vector, not only for a therapeutic vaccine for melanoma and breast cancer, but even more importantly, as a prophylactic vaccine. We had proof of principle, a recent publication on this particular subject, that we could use this vaccine strategy to prophylactically protect against melanoma and breast cancer.
So that would be amazing if you have a vaccine to protect against cancer. Could it be against all kinds of other cancers too?
Yeah, we already have examples of successful vaccines. For instance, against papilloma viruses, the Gardasil vaccine that has been used now extensively to prevent any cervical cancer for women that may be created 20, 30 years past their infection with papilloma viruses. There's also efforts right now for prostate cancer vaccine. Doesn't work as well as it should, but I think the principle of vaccinating against specific cancers, it's already proven, and it's just a matter of time that we find the right neoantigens. These are the changed proteins that could be used to successfully combat different types of cancer.
Does it have anything to do with what they've been doing with the mRNA? And is that nanotechnology?
So it is nanotechnology in essence. There are actually efforts to use mRNA vaccines for cancer purposes, for vaccines against cancer, as well as subunit vaccines, purified proteins. The difference between viral vector systems is that you could do multiple things, include multiple neoantigens, so you have a much better chance. You could also provide other inhibitors, whether it would be microRNAs or any other ways to shut down specific signaling pathways to really prevent cancer treatment.
Is it correct that you need to have something that's very immunizing to be able to vaccinate strongly against it?
Yeah, and this is correct. The current idea is to find neoantigens. These are really changed antigens, but also they need to be antigens that can generate a strong immune response that could eliminate certain tumor cells when they first are created. Obviously, with the advent of now molecular genetics, the ability for us to sequence the entire genome, we only have the genome, but we have the transcriptome, we have the metabolome, the proteome. All this information together can be used to create vector vaccine approaches to combat cancer at multiple points, and I think that would be the ultimately successful. As we know right now, combination therapies and personalized medicines, personalized drug therapies towards cancer is actually the solution, and I think ultimately that's what will happen. The vaccine therapeutic approach would be one in combination with others, perhaps some anti-cancer drugs, chemotherapeutics that could be used in combination to create a much more efficacious strategy to combat cancer.
Last time we did a video, I think you mentioned the word adenovirus. Is that still in your thinking?
Yeah, so adenovirus right now is also used as a vector approach for cancer in an immunotherapy approach. This is one of the viruses. The difference with herpes viruses is that herpes viruses already have two successful products on the market right now. One is the TVEC, which is the product produced by Amgen, which is really used to combat melanoma right now. And also another one, which is really another herpes simplex virus, G407, which now has been licensed for use for the treatment of glioma in children and adults in Japan, and it will be a matter of time that will be also licensed in the US and throughout the world. So we do have 2 successful herpes viruses to combat these very important cancers. Adenoviral studies have also going. There's also a number of other viruses that are being used right now in phase 1, phase 2 trials that to combat different types of cancers.
So it's 3 years ago around, we did the last video. So you have like the company that's been progressing and you're bringing, you say it's successful, so you're bringing this to market for sure, and how soon?
Well, the viral vector that we're using is being now tested as a vaccine against herpes viruses. That will be tested in England through a phase 2 combined clinical study. That particular study will actually pave the way for the use of the virus for other purposes, including cancer. And we hope that ultimately we'll move on to a phase 1 trial for the treatment of most likely breast cancer as soon as possible.
And with all the stuff that's been happening in the world the last 2-3 years, is it giving you an extra push and helping you get all this out?
Well, you know, cancer is one of the most important diseases. A lot of people suffer. There are different heterogeneous cancers of all types. And I think, you know, immunization, we have combated diseases like measles and the mumps and polio and, of course, papillomaviruses and, you know, cancer, cervical cancer. We have combated coronaviruses using vaccines. So why not even cancer? And I think this is the era. A recent article in New York Times highlighted this fact that we're really in the era where cancer vaccines will be produced and hopefully will be very efficacious.
I don't know if it's correct to say that it's been hard to immunize with the coronavirus and all the what do you call it, the different variants and everything. And how do you think it's immunizing what you're working towards compared to the coronavirus, for example?
So the basic principle is that vaccines, some of them are extremely effective. They eliminate the virus or the cancer 100%. But most of these approaches are really actually synergistic to our immune system. So part of the idea and what's happening with current corona vaccines is not necessarily that they eliminate the coronavirus, but they reduce the viral load. And the viral load is at that level that then the immune system can actually successfully combat it. The same thing would be true for cancer vaccines. So what we hope is vaccines will be able to assist the immune system. And in fact, these vaccines are immunomodulatory, that is, they enhance the immune system. As we know now with cell cycle check inhibitors, with a lot of these boosting adjuvants that are used for cancer vaccines. So the idea is to really boost and modulate the immune system to successfully combat these cancers.
And how much do you combat the herpes, the problem people have with herpes, different kind of herpes? How much are you targeting to bring a solution to that?
So the vaccines for herpes right now that we are working on would be tested for both therapeutic and prophylactic. Therapeutic for those people already infected with herpes simplex type 2 and suffer a lot. This is actually the primary target of the company that pursues these rational vaccines, for which I'm consulting. And ultimately, that type of vaccine will also be used prophylactic in much younger ages to prevent the initial infection by herpes viruses. That will help a lot in the use of these viruses as a vectors for other vaccines, whether that would be malaria, influenza, corona, as well as oncolytic immunotherapeutics for various cancers.
As a final message, could you be optimistic in terms of maybe giving a vision where there's no more herpes, there's no more cancer? Is it going to happen?
I think we are very optimistic, I would say highly optimistic, that we could really reduce herpes viruses to a very mild infection. And I think that we use the virus, herpes virus, as a vector to successfully combat a number of important diseases, not only herpes, but also malaria, influenza, COVID-19, and other pathogens as they come through.
But when you use herpes as a vector, it's not a negative thing for the person who didn't have herpes before?
So these viruses have been engineered to be 100% safe and attenuated. They do not get into nerves. They do not cause any disease whatsoever. And in fact, the very fact that it's used right now for cancer treatment, that in humans, which we know that it will work.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Yep.
Thanks.